Okay, guys, good morning. Um, we're going to continue with graphs today. I'm going to wait just a couple minutes. I got on a little bit early, but I'm going to show you today how a double line graph might work, which you probably won't have to actually create one, but there might be a double line graph possibly that you'll have to interpret. So I want to show you kind of principles behind that. Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started here. So what we're going to look at today is a double line graph, okay? And what that does, it compares two sets of data. So if we look up at this chart right here, it says number of ice cream cones sold. So that's what we're really going to be looking at is number of ice cream cones sold. And the one thing I forgot to put here is, so one column, let me see here, I'll put it in red. So this column is going to be chocolate, and the other column is going to be vanilla. So you're comparing, it's ice cream cones, but we have two separate types. So we have vanilla and we have chocolate. And you can see we have the days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then we have the number of cones sold each day. So we're just comparing on each day how many vanilla cones were sold versus how many chocolate cones were sold. And it's going to be the same principle line graph. We're going to have a y-axis and an n-axis. So let me go down to this. So you can see here, the title is number of ice cream cones sold per day. That's not going to change, okay? And then you can see we have the x-axis on the bottom, which is going to be the days. And then the y-axis right here is going to be number of ice cream cones sold, and that's going up. Remember, the y always goes up, and the x goes across, okay? So this would be no different than any other graph you guys done. The only thing is we're plotting two sets of data. We're plotting the vanilla ice cream cones and the chocolate ice cream cones. And what I'll do is I'll do them in two different colors so we kind of get a contrast. So I'm going to take this title out because it's going to kind of get in our way, but you wouldn't normally put the title at the top. It would just be number of ice cream cones sold, or you would see that title. Okay, so let me just erase that so we can get our data in here. Okay, so let me see here. We're going to use yellow. We'll plot the chocolate ones first. So on Monday, there were 60 chocolate cones sold. So I'm just going to put a little dot up there for 60. So there were 60 ice cream cones sold. And it looks like my Friday got... Okay. So Monday is 60. So we can just basically, we do that. Tuesday, there's 20. So I'm going to find Tuesday down here and go up to 20. Oops. Got to make that yellow. I'm sorry. Tuesday's going to be 20, which is right there. And we'll just cross it out. Wednesday was 15, so for Wednesday we'll put 15. Thursday was 40, so we find Thursday we'll go up to 40, and Friday was 70. And then for a line graph, all we do is we're going to connect the dots. So it looks something like almost a V. And that's going to be for the chocolate cones sold. Now for the vanilla, I'll do it in red, so you get kind of a contrast. So on Monday, there were 40 vanilla cones sold. So I'll find Monday, and we're going to go to 40. Okay. Tuesday, there were 80. So Tuesday is going to be way up here, 80. Wednesday, there were 30 cones sold. And remember, we're doing vanilla now. So right there. Thursday, there were 60. It's going to go up here. And Friday, there were 20. So this graph is going to look something like, okay. So basically, what we've done is we've taken number of ice cream cones sold, but there are two different types of ice cream cones sold. There was vanilla and there was chocolate. And each day there were different numbers of ice cream cones sold. We looked at Monday through Friday. And on certain days there were more vanilla, and more days there were more chocolate. So if you saw a graph like this, and so let me see here. So red is going to be vanilla. And yellow equals chocolate. Okay. So you know, basically just by looking at this graph, on certain days, like obviously if we went down to this and looked at Tuesday, Tuesday was the day that the most vanilla cones were sold. And then we look down here and we can say Friday was the least amount of vanilla cones sold. So Friday's the least amount of vanilla cones sold. Tuesday was the most. Just a couple data points. And then we could do the same thing for the chocolate, and we could see on Wednesday that was the least amount of chocolate cones sold. And if we looked up here, Friday would be the most amount of chocolate cones sold. So really, this could be done with similar things. Like I'm going to give you some practice. I think it talks about two different types of hot dogs. You could do it like hamburger versus cheeseburger. Maybe like snow cones, maybe a rainbow snow cone versus a grape snow cone. It's just really comparing two sets of data that are really closely related. Like this one is ice cream cones, and we just had two different types of ice cream cones. Okay, so if you see this, you guys don't get freaked out because there's two lines. Be like, okay, all this is saying is we're just plotting chocolate ice cream cones and vanilla ice cream cones. And each color is going to represent a different flavor. So the red was going to represent vanilla, and the yellow is going to represent chocolate cones sold. But everything else on the graph is the same. Remember, on our x-axis, which is the bottom, we just put the days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And on the y-axis, the one that goes up and down, we plotted the number of ice cream cones. Okay, so either way, you guys, you could look at the graph up here for some data. You know, you can certainly look at the numbers and see on Friday down here, that was the most number of chocolate cones sold. And if we look at vanilla, we can certainly see, if we look up here, 80 was the most sold. So there's probably a couple ways you could do it if this came up on one of the tests. Maybe you could look at the chart, which is fine. You could also look at the graph. If we didn't have the chart and all we had was the graph, you could definitely see by this line graph, the day, the highest point is going to be the most number of, cones sold. So we can see that red's vanilla. And if we just had this graph here, it didn't have the chart, you're going to see, well, the red one, the highest point is 70, and that's on Tuesday. And then you're going to say, well, if I'm doing the red cones, which is vanilla, I can see from this point down here, the lowest number was on Friday, and that was about 15 cones. Similar, you could do the same with chocolate. You could see that up here, that was the highest point on the graph, and that's about 70 chocolate cones. And that was on Friday. And then on Wednesday, I just look above the W, I could see, oh, wow, on Wednesday, there were only about 15 chocolate cones sold. Okay, so the graph definitely can give you some information. Like yesterday, there were more questions. Like if I asked you just from this graph, how many more vanilla cones were sold on Monday than chocolate? So you're going to look at Monday right here, and we're going to go up and see, okay, the red cones is vanilla on Monday. There were 40 of them. And chocolate, there were 60. So you would say on Monday, there were 20 more chocolate cones sold than vanilla. Okay. And then if I asked you on Wednesday, we go up here and say Wednesday, there were 30 chocolate. Am I doing that right? Oh, excuse me. 30 vanilla, red is vanilla. And the yellow is chocolate. There's only 15 chocolate. So on Wednesday, there were 15 more vanilla cones sold than chocolate. And we're just looking at the data points. So that's really all a double line graph is. It's just plotting two sets of data. You're just comparing it. This one happened to be days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the number of different types of ice creams cones sold on each day, vanilla versus chocolate. So it's pretty straightforward. It might look a little bit confusing. Just basically take a deep breath and be like, I've done this before. Remember, I have an x-axis, a y-axis, and the title. The title was number of ice cream cones sold, which is right up here. Okay. So I'll go ahead and post a practice exercise of you guys doing a double line graph, and then you'll kind of get the feel of how you do it. And I would suggest if you're doing it, if you have two different color pens, that's great. If you want to use a pencil and a pen, but your lines should be kind of different colors so you can kind of compare them. One thing you could do a solid line or even like a broken line. Like for example, I'll just show you. If we had like plots like that, you could do. And the other plots, you could just do solid line. So that's one thing you can do is two different line types. You could do kind of a solid or even a dotted. But I suggest trying to use just two different color pens or a pen and a pencil. All right, you guys, that's all I have for today. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.